Hi, Mille.
Hi.
So, how did you end up joining MSI Australia and have you felt supported in our workplace?
Yeah, so I actually graduated uni up in Brisbane. I studied peace, conflict and development, so knew I wanted to work for an NGO. I was supposed to move overseas, but due to COVID and travel restrictions, wasn't able to. So my partner and I moved down to Melbourne. It was during one of the lockdowns. We actually watched a show, an Irish show about abortions, and they mentioned MSI. So I Googled the company and came across Asia Pac's website. And I knew instantly that this was the organisation I wanted to work for. I had to stalk the website for a while and Ethical Jobs to find a job that I was qualified for. Eventually applied for the role and have just spent the last 2 years working up to the NCC supervisor. I've always felt supported here at MSI. Coming into the role, I didn't have any leadership experience, but have been supported by my managers and the executive team to always step up for opportunities and continue to grow and develop, which has been good. And then recently, I've been navigating working whilst pregnant, so parental leave, all that fun stuff, and I've felt supported by the team the whole time.
So, the theme for this International Women's Day is to inspire inclusion in the workplace. I was wondering, in your role at MSI Australia, how do you help make sure people's voices and talents are heard and appreciated?
Yeah, I'm in a really lucky position, I think, as the NCC supervisor, where I get to manage like a wide variety of people. It's such a diverse team. Due to the nature of the role, we attract a lot of students and people who've just graduated. So I really enjoy connecting them with relevant people in the organisation in their chosen field of study. Sometimes it's resulted in them getting direct exposure and work experience within that field, and sometimes it's just like a LinkedIn connection with an industry professional. But I feel like that's how I make sure people's talents and past experiences are, highlighted here. I've also been really lucky to be brought on after working as a CCA and in the NCC, to be brought on as almost like a subject matter expert in lots of other people's projects. So I think the collaborative approach that I see the rest of the organisation take to the projects that they do have really influenced my own leadership style. So I make a conscious effort now to include my team and their talents in the projects I now lead. So yeah.
Awesome. Okay, Mille. So where do you think we've done well in creating an inclusive environment?
So I recently received some feedback from an employee who was actually leaving the organisation that this was the first workplace where they felt comfortable to bring their whole self to work. They are trans and neurodivergent and have never felt comfortable in the past asking for what they need. They felt that the people and the managers here at MSI were really inclusive and really understanding, so they had no problems asking for what they needed to get the job done. So I think definitely making accommodations for people where needed to, and making sure that we are compassionate but still harnessing their own individual strengths is where we excel in making a diverse office.
So our last question we want you to send a message for International Women's Day. How do you think we can all work together to make the world a more inclusive place for women and girls and people?
I think definitely making sure that our approach to abortion and contraception healthcare is intersectional, addressing the issues that these services in Australia are still a postcode lottery is vital, ensuring Indigenous and rural communities like cost and geography aren't barriers to people accessing, specifically women accessing healthcare, is something we can do on a global sense. Obviously, we're seeing a lot of conflict and war at the minute, and during these periods, current injustices that women are facing are magnified, and women and children are bearing the brunt of like the secondary and long-lasting consequences of war. So making sure that women are included in peace talks and peace agreements is something we can do. I think in Australia that potentially could look like making sure we have our own women in leadership, women in parliament, so that in the international sector, women are included in these peace talks. So going forward, peace can be sustainable and long lasting, and thus creating a more inclusive world for women.
Yay!